Have we spoken too soon about Kyler Murray's ceiling as a quarterback? Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Chris Huber here with you. We've got you till 1 o'clock. We'll hand things off to the Jim Rome Show starting at 1. Big story in ESPN today, celebrating that we are 100 days out from the start of the NFL season. And Ben Solak over at ESPN had a 100 things for 100 days away for the NFL season, and had some bold predictions, or had some, we'll call them bold predictions, and joked that don't aggregate these predictions unless they end up being right, but had a stat that we kicked around in the morning meeting, and it turned into the topic that we're going to talk about right now. And here's what they had to say about the Cardinals. This is the only time the Cardinals are mentioned at all in these 100 things. Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray has 82 career starts without a playoff win, which feels like a lot, but is only tied for 29th out of all quarterbacks since 1950. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is just behind him with 79. One of the two will get their first postseason win this season, maybe both. And then in parentheses, Ben says, okay, probably just one, end quote. So the bold prediction, one of Kyler Murray or Justin Herbert, who have a ton of starts. Kyler with 82, Herbert with 79. They're going to get their first postseason win. And they're going to add to this number because they've got 17 games, 17 more starts before they get to the postseason. So that number is going to grow for both of these quarterbacks, but one of them is going to be able to say that they've done it, that they've got that postseason win. And I think there are a lot of people, some may be the producer of the program that you're listening to, that are not in on Kyler Murray, that think Kyler Murray is not going anywhere, not going to be able to win that big game for the Cardinals. You are openly not a Kyler Murray fan.
No, I would say I'm one of his biggest critics.
You're a doubter? You're a
doubter.
As the kids say, you're a hater?
I wouldn't call myself a hater.
No, you're a hater.
I'm rooting for him. I just don't think he can do it.
And so that led us to this conversation because he has 82 career starts without a playoff win. If he makes all 17 starts, that, doing some quick math, gets us to 99 career starts before his first playoff win. And you may think, that's a big sample size. That is a sample size that should tell you this is not a franchise quarterback, Chris. You should be done. It should be over. They've wasted too much of their time. But what if I told you that there are some great quarterbacks who've had more than 99 starts before their first playoff win? How about Peyton Manning, who had 112 regular season starts before his first playoff win? How about Andy Dalton, 167 starts before his first playoff win? Kirk Cousins, 163 regular season starts. Matt Stafford, 182 regular season starts before winning a playoff game. Carson Palmer, guy who played here, 159 regular season starts before he came here and won his first playoff game. And Kyler Murray, if he goes through this whole season and the Cardinals get to a playoff game, will have 99 career starts. Now, there's one name on this list that we put together, Drew Brees, who had 90 regular season starts before winning a playoff game. But do you see what this list tells you? This list tells you perhaps you should be a little more patient. Perhaps you should allow this season to play out because you may think Kyler Murray can't win the big game. And you may end up being right. And so far, up until this point, if you hold that position, you are correct. I still think it is too early to make that statement definitively. I think it is still too early to say that we know for sure he can't win a playoff game. Do I think he's a franchise quarterback the way Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow? I definitively say he can't be that. But do I think he can be Jared Goff? Do I think he can be Matt Stafford? Do I think he can be, let's pick another journeyman quarterback. Could he be Kirk Cousins? Yeah, I think Kyler Murray can be that.
And I'm not saying playoff wins are the end-all, be-all, because like Daniel Jones is a playoff win, and Daniel Jones stinks. But it is a good litmus test of can you win? And are teams able to win with X at quarterback? And I think you look at Kyler Murray and you say, yeah, it's possible when he's playing well. He is a top 12 quarterback. And winning playoff games, you don't need to be Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. That helps. Certainly helps.
Does help.
But you don't need to be those guys.
Now, if we go through the season and this list grows to 99 and he gets another playoff chance and he fails in that playoff chance, and now we have that Rams wild card game and another game on the list, then yeah, you now have a resume that tells you a specific story. Now, if you don't make the playoffs altogether, now let me just make one clarification to this. Because I have said in the past that if this team doesn't make the playoffs this year, that you are going to move on from Kyler. And I still believe that. If you don't make the playoffs, you're moving on from Kyler because this organization, the GM and the coach, didn't draft him. So they're going to want a fresh start. But that doesn't mean Kyler can't go someplace else and succeed.
No.
In a different system, he might be able to break through and get that playoff win.
Look about it this way. We talked about Carson Palmer.
Right.
Carson Palmer couldn't get over the hump.
In Cincinnati. Or in Vegas.
Oakland at the time.
Oh, yeah, Oakland, sorry.
But then came here and got over the hump. And it even took 2-3 years here. It wasn't right away.
Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals need to make the playoffs this year. Now, if Kyler and the Cardinals win a playoff game, this is why I love this conversation. What's the excuse going to be then? Because all I've been told is that he can't win that game. All I've been told is that he's not the franchise quarterback, that he isn't somebody that you can win with. Well, if he does, then what does the excuse become? See, that's why it's easier to just say he hasn't been it so far, and he's really got one more chance to prove it. And if he doesn't, the team is going to move on, and he'll have to try to prove it someplace else.
It depends what the game looks like.
I've said this from the get-go.
What if it's the Jags-Bills game from, remember years ago when the Jags got the AFC title game? And they played the Bills in Wild Card Weekend, and they win that game, and they score 10 points. The game ends 10-3. That's not good enough. It's not good enough for me to be like, oh, you're bringing back Kyler.
Kurt Warner walked off the field with the lead against the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
But they got to the Super Bowl.
What I'm saying is they didn't lose the game because of Kurt Warner.
No, yeah.
If Kyler Murray walks off the field and he's led the team on the drive that gives them the lead with under a minute to go, and the defense gives it up, I'm not putting that game on Kyler.
No.
I am not saying that you can't win with Kyler Murray. He walked off the field with the lead. He did his job. So the context absolutely matters. So I'm not willing to say, and Michael has said this a bunch anytime we have this conversation, or one of our P1s over on YouTube. He says that they have to win a playoff game or Kyler and Drew Petzing both need to go. I have never been comfortable going that far in this conversation. I have been comfortable saying if they don't make the playoffs, they're just going to make a change because it's been 7 years. It's time to make a change. But if they make the playoffs and they lose 35-31 and Kyler throws for 275 yards and multiple touchdowns and doesn't turn the ball over and they lose because the opposing team has the ball last, am I really going to come in here on that Monday and say, you know what? It's time to move on from Kyler Murray. That's not going to be the narrative on the Monday after.
No, how many people are kicking Drew Brees over the Minnesota Miracle?
If we come in here and they get blown out in a playoff game and Kyler throws 3 picks and they're not competitive and the offense stinks, then you betcha we're going to play the Daily Special and we're going to talk about this team needing to make a quarterback change. How we get there matters. And the reason why we brought up these numbers to you is the story mentioned that he's had 82 career starts without a playoff win. But to show you that, do you think they were saying that in Indy about Peyton Manning? And I'm not comparing Kyler Murray to Peyton Manning, please. But all these quarterbacks on this list, it took them a little bit. It took them a while to get their first playoff win. And so all I'm asking is, you know what? This is the last season. This is the make or break year for Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray can take this team to the playoffs and he can check that box. And then if he wins the playoff game, he can remove this from the conversation. And then you don't have the excuse anymore that he can't win the big one, that he can't win a playoff game because he would have done it. Now, if he doesn't do it, or more importantly, if they don't make the playoffs, then yeah, we can have a conversation about his future. But I got to see how it looks like. And I know that there are people that have been long done with Kyler Murray. There are people that probably want him on our, what are we calling this? The Schubert ship list. getting these guys out of town. People want Kyler Murray on that list, getting him out of town. I'm not there yet. I will be at the end of the season. I will be if they don't make the playoffs. I will be if they get to the playoffs and Kyler has another dud, an absolute stinker, a clunker that leads to them getting eliminated. Yeah, I can get there with you. But here we are. I'm going to let the season play out, and I'm going to let the results dictate where the future for this team should be.
Let me ask you this question. Let's say he breaks every record. He doesn't turn the ball over as much. He throws for 4,000 yards. All of his personal stuff. He has his best season. They go out there, and he gives you a stinker in the playoffs. Does that change the conversation?
I don't think – I think the two things that Kyler Murray cannot afford, missing the playoffs entirely and a clunker in the postseason.
Yeah.
He can survive making the playoffs and losing a close game. He cannot survive missing the playoffs entirely, and he can't survive getting to the postseason and being the reason why the Cardinals lose.
You can't have another wild card weekend in the Rams.
And what you just said there, you used a very key word, another, because now it will be two. If it was the first time, maybe you can get away with it. But now you'd have two of those games on your resume. I don't see how you get up from that.